Well.
This is the disadvantage of not being together.
Oh, good Lord.
Well.
Welcome to the Go Spurs Go Memes podcast number 20, live and recorded via Skype. This is our first podcast we've ever done on Skype, so the sound's going to be a little bit off, but joining me today is Sean, Frank, and Buddy, and we do have a special person on Skype with us. It is Correspondent Clay, who, of course, Clay does the Spurs in the City segments for us here at Go Spurs Go Memes. Gentlemen, I hope you guys are having a wonderful evening. Buddy, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. I have to say this is going to be interesting to see how we're all able to put this all together, and I'm interested in seeing how everybody is able to not run over each other's foots.
Feet.
We'll see how that goes.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot. I'm sorry, it's foots.
Frank, how are you, man?
I'm doing excellent. I'm surrounded by cats and a banjo.
Fantastic.
Could it be possible to be surrounded by banjos and a cat?
It's heaven. I'm telling you.
Sean, how are you, man?
I'm doing very well. I'm up here in Austin, hanging out at Casa de Sean Del Norte. So that's about it. Get to go take a drug test. I have a job, gentlemen.
Ooh.
That's right. It's a job, and that's the extent I'm going to go into details about it for now. But I do start working full-time on the 25th. So, yay.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congrats, Sean. Very
Back
glad
to you,
hear
Ray.
it. Thank you, buddy. Clay, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing, my friend?
I am excited. I'm on the number 20 podcast, the Manu Ginobili of podcasts. I'm really excited to be here. And, I mean, I see how much you like me, the first Skype cast, and I'm sitting at home. I can't even be in studio. You'll like me that much. You kept me at home. Got it.
You're a face made for radio. What can I say?
Yeah, my mom always told me that before I went to school every day. You have a face for radio, son.
We're always tired of asking you to put on a shirt, too. So.
Wow.
How did you know?
Well, I'm glad that you're with us, Clay. Thank you so much for taking time to hang out with us. And, of course, we want you in studio as soon as your schedule allows. I'm doing well, gentlemen. And, of course, the reason why we are doing the Skype is because this weekend I will be out of town. It is the start of cheerleading competition season, which means I'm traveling all over the state for my kids because they are both cheerleaders. So that's the reason why we are not in studio at the Go Spurs Go Meme studios, I should say. So I don't know, gentlemen. I say it's time to talk news, so let's go right into the news. So first off, happening in the world of the NBA, Pelicans are keeping guard Tony Douglas for the rest of the season. So right now we are in the middle of a bunch of waivers, 10-day contracts, a lot of trade talk. A lot of people were questioning if Tony Douglas would stay with the Pelicans, and it looks like that's going to happen. Ty Lawson from the Houston Rockets is being suspended by the NBA. He's going to be suspended for 3 games for a DUI charge in California. Buddy, what are your thoughts on that suspension?
That doesn't surprise me at all. Ty Lawson is like a hot mess. Every time he goes somewhere, it seems like he's getting a DUI or he's getting in some kind of trouble. And he doesn't been any kind of like the player that I thought he was going to be for Houston at all. I thought he was going to be a real good catalyst for them, solidify the offense, maybe bring some defense, And really, he's just been a hot mess since he's been there.
It's absolutely crazy, too, because he's going to lose about $338,000 for the 3-game suspension.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
And he had already lost $225 for a previous suspension. So, I mean, just the amount of money that he's losing for being an idiot is pretty stupid.
Yeah, well, it's so crazy. Like, a lot of them, they don't even, like, all of this money now that they lose, it seems like it's nothing to them, And then to me, I'm like, if I lost $100,000, I think I'd probably throw myself off a bridge somewhere or something like that.
No kidding. Sean, you got any thoughts about that? Sean, you there?
I think.
Well, yes. I'm Sean. I'm too busy working right now, and Austin is great. But what I like to say, actually, this is Frank. What I'd like to add to that is just the fact that yes, $300,000, a lot of money. Do you have any idea where that goes?
It
like
goes
all
to
these
the
fines
NBA.
go. Okay.
It goes right to the NBA. You pay your fine directly to them.
Ouch.
And
Actually, let me
what do
take
they
that
do
back.
with the? Okay.
Let me take that back. So he's getting a suspension. So basically, what's happening is he will not be paid.
Mm-hmm.
If he is fined by the NBA, the money goes.
I think we got there.
Yeah. So if he would have gotten a fine, it would go directly to the NBA. So my mistake. Sorry.
Oh man, I can't even imagine losing that much.
I know, it's just nuts. Anyways, let's see. Phoenix Suns, they plan to sign guard LeBron of Grand Rapids in the NBA D-League to a 10-day contract. The Grizzlies have opened up a roster spot for D-League Santa Cruz guard Elliot Williams. They actually just cut center Ryan Hollins to be able to do that. Buddy, what are your thoughts on that?
Wow, I didn't even know about them cutting Ryan Hollins. Ryan Hollins was a pretty solid defender. He's horrible offensively, but he's a pretty good, solid defender for them overall. But they're just regular, smaller contracts. So they're probably just trying to, play with parts, see what would work better for them. I don't really have much thought on it one way or the other, to be honest with you.
So supposedly the Cleveland Cavs have been receiving tons of trade calls to find out if they'd be willing to part with Timothy Mozgov, which I find really, really interesting.
That is very interesting.
I don't know who the Cavs would want to take to give him up, because LeBron kind of seemed like he was an asset to them. So I'd be really interested to see what would happen there.
I'm a little curious as to why they would want to give up Mozgov. I mean, I don't know what their alternative is, unless they're going to mean to go smaller. So, then you're talking about going, maybe starting Tristan Thompson more consistently, and maybe even starting Varejao, I guess. But I don't understand why you'd want to get rid of Mozgov.
I don't know either. Denver Nuggets have released forward Kostas Papanikolaou. So he's gone off of the Nuggets, so I'm curious to see what's going to happen there.
That guy was supposed to be really good. He was a good Greek standout. He was pretty good with Houston last year, and then they traded him away. Well, if I'm not mistaken, he was the part of the Lawson thing, correct?
Yes, he was.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
So Papanikolaou, that's how you say his name. And I thought he was pretty good offensively, but I guess maybe off defensively, and then with the players that they have, I guess they didn't have a spot for him realistically.
No,
I thought his name was supposed to be pronounced Papadigiorio. Is that not correct?
No, I don't think there was. There's no G in. There's no G in there.
Oh, well, things you learn.
Good try, Sean. Phoenix Suns have waived Corey Jefferson and Bryce Cotton. Now, if you guys remember, Bryce Cotton was the guard from the Austin Spurs. The San Antonio Spurs actually had the draft rights to him, and they actually gave that up when they didn't sign Bryce Cotton to a deal to come to the Spurs. So he stayed in Austin for a while. Phoenix called him up, and then they just waived him. So I'm pretty sure he's going to end up back in Austin. I still think he's a great guard. I'd love to see the Spurs in San Antonio get him back. I don't know, buddy, what are your thoughts?
I'm sort of surprised that they dropped him, considering, again, we talked about this last week. They lost Bledsoe, and so you figure that they're, a little bit in trouble with the guard thing. So you figure that somebody like him would be a good addition for them, and I guess not. I guess maybe I don't understand it. I mean, I don't understand why you'd want to cut somebody like him. I mean, he had a lot of upside for us, but like I said, I don't know who's running the Suns thing, though. The Suns have been sort of like a complete, train wreck in the last year now. And now even this season, with the whole thing with Hornacek, and then they're thinking about getting rid of him, and then they end up firing all the assistants and keeping him. It just seems like a really big mess. So maybe it's better that Cotton gets out of there. Maybe he can come back into the system in the Austin Spurs, and then, just start over again in reality.
That would be awesome. Clay, do you got any thoughts on that?
I think, the Phoenix Suns are a great team. I don't know what's going on with them. Bryce Cotton with the Austin Spurs was a great standout. And it just goes to show that this is not an easy league to get into. He was a great player, goes to the Suns, gets cut. And it's tough. And I think having the D League in Austin feed the Spurs, that's what I'm learning the most about, is the real tribulations if you're not a standout in college or in high school of getting into the league. So I wish him well, but the Suns need to get their act together.
Agreed. Sean, you got any thoughts?
No, not really. I mean, I heard Cotton was supposed to be something reasonably well. I don't know why we didn't keep him, especially considering, really everything, as long as you can be somewhat intelligent and learn the system, the Spurs will keep you around forever. I mean, you look at my favorite player in the NBA, Matt Bonner, he knows the system. I think he's absolutely worthless as a player, but we keep him around forever, and I don't know why. It may just mean that Cotton just didn't learn the system.
Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty reasonable thing too. I mean, he just doesn't fit in for what they need for whatever reason.
Yeah, and I think also what kind of happened with Cotton is the Spurs in San Antonio didn't have room for him. He stayed in Austin with the deal. The Suns come calling. It's a whole lot more money. He took the deal. He didn't know if he would be getting an offer from San Antonio anytime soon. So, I mean, we all understand that he wants to play in the NBA. Of course, he's going to go. He's at least going to get $100,000 to go. And, of course, that's what he did. But, unfortunately, he got cut. But, you know, Sean, you just brought up Matt Bonner, so I just kind of want to jump in there real quick and kind of tag on to that. I want to let you know that tonight it was made official that Rasul Butler and Matt Bonner both now have guaranteed contracts for the rest of the year, which means they are on the Spurs roster.
Sweet Jesus, why did we keep Bonner?
There's something that we don't know, and here's the other thing too. I mean, experience counts for a lot when it comes to a system like the Spurs. So he may be doing things that don't show up in the court.
Yeah, he has to be some kind. Like I told last week, I think he's more of an insurance policy on the off chance it's one of the big guys get hurt. And then also, Butler's the one now at this point. He's a real big odd man out. I've noticed that you're not really seeing him play. Like last night was the first time I've seen him play in a while. I can't even remember the last time I had seen him play because of the resurgence of Simmons now. You know, you really don't need a Butler now at this point. And so I'm sort of wondering why they're keeping him around, but it could be for the same reason that they're keeping Bonner around. That sort of like that veteran leadership, sort of giving a insurance policy in one case one of these guys gets hurt. It seems like a logical decision, but God, Bonner's just useless.
I really think he's going to end up being a player coach like Ime Udoka was during his last few years, where he's going to spend more time coaching. And I see Bonner transitioning to the coach style on the bench, maybe as a shooting specialist. That's what I'm assuming, but I mean, we can see.
I'm curious if Bonner really wants to be a coacher, though. I really see him more of a front office personality. Like, he seems to be somebody who's like a people person, wants to talk to the people, be a PR kind of guy. I don't know. I don't really know much about this part of it, like whether he is an X's and O kind of guy. I can see that out of somebody like Duncan, for instance. I can totally see that. But like Bonner, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I haven't seen it. I don't ever see him in the huddle saying, okay, go here, go here, go here. I just see him sitting there being a human firecracker.
And here's the thing, too, guys, is that when it comes to Bonner and Duncan, when you kind of think about them, possibly retiring, Bonner has gone on record and said that he doesn't plan to retire anytime soon. So he wants to keep playing as long as he can. Now, my opinion of the whole Bonner contract thing was, I agree with you, buddy. He's an insurance policy in case somebody gets hurt. What's the point of getting rid of Matt Bonner when he's at a veteran minimum anyways? He knows the system. Why get rid of him and then eventually have to get somebody new into the system, show them the whole playbook, get them into the system, they don't know it, as opposed to just keeping him there. As for Tim Duncan, everybody wants him to coach. Popovich wants him to coach when he retires, and it's the last thing Timmy wants to do.
Which is ironic.
Which is very ironic, but that's the truth. Timmy doesn't want to coach at all. Bonner wants to keep playing, and he has no intentions of retiring anytime soon. So I think, when it comes to the Spurs roster, we're really not going to see big changes until Duncan and Ginobili decide, this is it. And then once those two are gone and that little bit of money opens up, then it'll be like, okay, what happens next? Do we let go of Matt Bonner? It brings into question Rasul Butler. Is he going to stay for another year? Will we give him another year contract? Will we give him a longer term contract? I would assume at the end of the season, the big thing for the Spurs is that they're going to want to keep David West. Remember, West only has a 1-year contract.
Yep.
So I think he's going to be the priority over everything because, yes, while Duncan has a 2-year contract, it's in his court if he decides he wants to come back. Same thing with Ginobili. They're both going to decide, do we want to do this again? Do we not want to do? And then all the dominoes will fall. But I really think that David West will be the priority for the Spurs.
Yeah, I can see that too. I mean, I think, and West, we talked a lot about his his overall value of what he's given us. He's given us so much more than what we really paid for him, right? But I think he went the way of Harrison Barnes in this one, where he's like, you know what? I know that the TV deal's coming up. I can get a little bit more money, even a little bit more than I would have gotten even if I had signed a long-term deal with somebody else. So he could have been smart. He could have been the smartest out of any of us and just sort of waited for the next year because he knew he was going to get more money, and he's still pretty good. I mean, he's still, he's not that old, but for as old as he is, he's still very effective at what he does. He can start for a lot of teams, for more than half of the league at least. So you figure he's going to get a pretty good contract, and let's just say he stays in the league for another 3 years after this, right? He'll probably get easy $10 million a year, I'd say.
Yeah, you're probably right, especially with that new TV deal.
You know what? I just sorry to interrupt. I just ran into David West. Actually, this is true on the streets here. In San Antonio. Nice guy. His family is loving San Antonio. They're really liking all the sights, sounds. I think he's a great fit for the team. He's really showing some veteran backbone out there. But I think he's really, talking with him, he's having a good time with the Spurs.
You can totally tell he's really, really loves the atmosphere. It's just completely in his body language. He's bought into the atmosphere. He's bought into the system. He's bought into what the message is that the Spurs bring every year. That's why I thought that it was just ideal, like somebody like him was going to fit within our system. I never imagined as well as he fit so far that that's the way it was going to work out. And it's been fantastic watching him.
Yeah, it has. Let's see, the Spurs now have 9 wins by 25 or more this season, which is 3 times as much as any such wins from any other team in the NBA. The Spurs are also just the 10th team in NBA history to win 30 games in a row at home. Buddy, thoughts?
We just solidifying the home court. I think we've been in the Duncan era. We've had a very, very good winning percentage at home. I'd love for us to tell him the exact number at this point. I'm missing Jack right now, but we've always had a very good home record, and it just shows that we always protect our home court for one. But this is just a further solidification of how the Spurs are being built right now. They're almost untouchable at home at this point. I think the closest game we've had so far this year has to have been of all of them was the Minnesota game. I don't think I really remember any game this year that was sort of close other than that one.
I think you're right.
And that's that's amazing when you really, really think about it. That's amazing. So I think it'll keep going. I don't really. It's a good thing to have these things, but eventually it'll end, and it's going to end on a thud, and we're going to be like, well, what the heck went on, and we're going to go into that whole thing. But it's okay. We're still setting in a great mark. I think we're even ahead of the Warriors, as much as that is. We're still ahead of them for the year, right?
Yes, so we are. We're at 21-0. I believe the Warriors are 18-0 at home now, so we're just a little bit ahead of them. But really, it's much more to have to do with scheduling than anything else. But yeah, it's a great thing. And, I can't think of a year where the Spurs were so dominant at home. Mm-hmm. So, a lot of analysts are already saying, you really got to look at what the Spurs are doing at home, because legitimately they could very easily go 40-1 at home, 39-2 at home, just putting out there that maybe they'll lose at home. But either way, if they were to go 40-1, you couldn't be disappointed with that. That's an amazing homestand for the year.
Exactly. 40. I don't even know if any team has gone 40-1 ever. So for sure. So it sounds amazing all on its own. And what's funny is that I think this will all come to an end pretty soon, because I was reading a graphic the other day saying that going forward after the Utah game last night, we have the second hardest schedule in the league outside of this is funny, outside of the Lakers for the rest of the year. So that it's going to get tougher down the road. We're going to see the Warriors twice coming up in the next couple months. I'm expecting to lose one of those here. I really am. So, I figure it's going to end here pretty soon.
Right. And I'm kind of thinking that I wouldn't be surprised if we lost to Cleveland at home. And the only reason I say that is because we do have the Cavs do have a healthy Kyrie Irving coming back,
and he always burns us.
Yeah, and if you remember last year, the Cavs did beat us here. We beat them in Cleveland. I wouldn't be surprised if we drop that game next Thursday. But right now, the way that the Spurs are playing, I mean, it's really hard to bet against them. But if we open up with poor shooting, just most of the problems that you and I always point out every week, buddy,
Yes.
then we'll be in some trouble with the Cavs next Thursday.
You know what's funny? What's funny you say that about that. You know, like I really think that the Cavs don't present much of a problem to the Spurs in my mind. Even though, like, yes, you're right, they did beat us last year here, but I don't see the Cavs presenting as much of a problem as like, let's say, the Warriors. You can't start the Warrior game like that. We won't get back that way, right? But the Cavs, like right now, I don't even think they're one of the better shooting teams in the league. I want to say they're in the bottom half of the league shooting-wise, right? And they always seem to have like an issue like with like offensive flow and things like that. And with the way that the Spurs defense is set up now, I really think that they're going to pose a big problem for them. Like coming this time around, let's just say Irving just goes off, right? You know, we'll leave that alone, right? Right. Outside of that, I mean, I just don't see anybody who can be effective the way that the team is like constructed now. You have Aldridge, who's in the middle, along with Duncan, who provide more of a stronger base for your middle, right? At this point, as opposed to last year, we depended a lot on, you know, just Duncan on the middle, you know, and so. I think you're gonna see a lot of bit of difference between the Cavs game now. The Warriors is another story, but we talk about this every week, but we can go on about that for days and days. So.
It's very true. Okay, guys. So, of course, what we also heard this week is that Greg Popovich was announced as the winner of the Western Conference Coach of the Month for December. His response to it was, I think you should at least get a car. If you don't get a car, I don't give a damn.
Yeah.
So
I did see that.
Straight up classic Pop. But one thing that I do want to kind of add in here is that for Popovich has won 16 Coach of the Month awards, and that's actually the most. He actually has 4 more than Phil Jackson, 4 more than Pat Riley, and 4 more than George Karl. So, I mean, if you really look at the career that Greg Popovich has had, yeah, he doesn't really give a crap about that award, but he's won. But he's won a lot of them, you know. So I think that that's a really awesome thing. What I do want to kind of talk about is I kind of want to go back to what we were talking about, where I kind of said I kind of feel like if we're going to drop one at home, I kind of feel it's the Cleveland game. Now, Frank, what do you think if the Spurs are going to lose the home game? As Buddy just said, they're going to have the second hardest schedule coming out right now. Who do you think the Spurs could lose at home to?
At home? Well, who do they have coming up? I mean, jeez. I mean, do they play? Okay, go ahead. Like, who are the top tier teams that they're going to be playing at home left? Okay, I mean, and I'm talking about like from the East. Let's go ahead and put that out there.
Okay, so we still get Toronto at home.
Yeah.
We still get the Bulls to come to San Antonio. Mm-hmm. Cleveland's going to come. Miami's going to come.
So you're also forgetting the Mavericks too. The Mavericks are coming on the 17th. That's another one. That's a possible sleeper there.
It's very true, buddy.
And here's the thing about, you know, the whole hype of the NBA. You kind of get like a temperature of what's going on. Right now, everybody's talking about Golden State. But also you're starting to get more press time, more ESPN time on the Spurs. And trust me, I mean, the more they win at home, the closer they are to Golden State. You're going to have teams that are going to just constantly play them hard. And so what I would have to say is like a team like Cleveland that really understands, you know, what it takes to actually play in the playoffs or in the finals with the Spurs. I think there's going to be something in there that they're going to play really, really hard. So if there's a chance to lose at home, I think it'd have to be them.
Okay. All right. Clay, what do you think, man?
I think the Spurs have a problem. They have a problem looking at teams coming down the road, and I think just like we are saying, who are the top-tiered teams, the Spurs seem to worry about those teams. I'm going to bet that the first loss at home is going to come from a sleeper team, kind of like Buddy said, whether it be a Dallas Maverick team. Heck, who knows? Maybe even the Pistons. They're 20-16 right now. They're coming in a few days. Out of nowhere, the Spurs could lose to one of these non-top-tier teams, and I think that I think that will be the first home loss, in my opinion.
The Pistons did beat us last year at home too. That's what's funny too. But we're playing the Pistons in Detroit, I think, on that one. But the other one, if the Pistons come up in the next month, that's another possibility too. Because
you are right, buddy. The Pistons in San Antonio is a little later. You're right.
Right, and then they did beat us last year, and they caught us with our pants down big time last year.
And I think that's the problem. I think the Spurs I don't think they give enough respect to some of these lower tier teams. And you see it. The defense falls asleep. The offense gives sloppy. And then out of nowhere, we're getting our butts handed to us on the road. And it could happen at home. I really think it could.
So let me ask you a question real quick, Clay. So I'll ask anybody. Let's ask Sean here, okay? So we have the upcoming games here at home is going to be against the Knicks, against the Cavs, against the Mavericks, against the Rockets, and against the Magic. So, of any of those that are coming up, so that's all the way up to February 1st. Of any of those, what's the most likely loss out of any of those, Sean?
I'm going to say Dallas, just because it's a local. I mean, it's a local rivalry that we've always had. Cleveland, I don't think is going to be fully back. I know Kyrie Irving's minutes have gone up in the double digits, but I don't see them being a real true threat to us at home. I really see Dallas, but I even think we're going to beat Dallas by more than 10. I really don't see our first home loss being until March 12th against Oklahoma City when they come here. So I'm going to say...
Yeah, that's the other one, too.
Good call on that, Sean.
That's a good one.
That's what I do, boys.
All right, and then in the last piece of news that I have for you guys is that the Lakers are undecided on whether they're going to retire number 8 and number 24 when Kobe Bryant retires.
What a stupid question right there. I mean,
that is so stupid.
Really. I mean, well, for one thing, yes, it's the Lakers. Nobody cares. Currently, I'm watching them, get trounced by Sacramento, 95-77 in the third. But I mean, really, you're basically sucking the guy's teeth right now. I mean, if you're coming across a question like that, I mean, if you had to choose 8, what the hell?
I know. Let's just retire number 1 while we're at it. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I don't understand why they make such a big deal out of this. It's like, okay, he's retiring. Okay, great, he's retiring. He has a farewell tour. A farewell tour. Think about that. I mean, it's almost more douchier than when LeBron did the decision. I mean, you do realize this, right?
No, but look at what the Lakers are getting. Look what the Lakers are getting out of this.
It's all about the Lakers brand. It's not so much about Kobe. Yes, he loves the attention. Yes, he loves that. He goes to Boston. They give him a piece of the floor from the Boston Garden where he played. Yeah, he loves all that stuff. But this is really a push for the Lakers brand because it is a franchise that has not done well the last couple of years, that is basically desperate for a turnaround. They're in the second largest market in the United States. So it is about pushing that brand around. So it doesn't surprise me that they say that they want to retire both jerseys because, of course, that's just more jersey sales. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's just one of those crazy things that the Lakers, because they're the Lakers, are going to get to go through, and Kobe Bryant just gets to ride off in the sunset with all this attention. But
wouldn't it be hilarious if he tears a shoulder thing again? I think
that would be so messed up if that happened. But I mean,
I know that's bad for me to say that, but I mean that would be just the most hilarious thing ever if that happened.
During the All-Star game.
During the All-Star game. Perfect. That'd be just perfect.
This guy's not Duncan, trust me. But
I do have one thing. Didn't Robinson do the same thing? Didn't David Robinson have a farewell tour his last year? I mean, I'm not trying to. I am comparing the two. I think they had a similar way. They both announced this was their last year playing.
I don't think they really were giving him gifts or anything. That seems like something that's really something of this decade. I mean, happening in baseball now, and I guarantee you're going to see more of this stuff. Like, for example, maybe even Peyton Manning, in football. I wouldn't surprise him if he says, this is my last season, and then people are just going to be giving him gifts all year.
Right. As opposed to a Tim Duncan, which I still feel that when Duncan decides to retire, he's just going to say it at the end of a season. So there won't be a Duncan farewell tour. There won't be, the opportunity for all these franchises to say goodbye to him. It's just going to happen. because that's his style.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm really hoping that happens. You know, I'm hoping that he doesn't it doesn't go out like that where you're seeing stuff like that. And I think he's going to do everything in his power just to avoid all of that.
Okay, well, that's it for the news, fellas. So I think it's time for us just to kind of focus on what we've seen with the Spurs games. So this past week we had 2 games. We had the Spurs against Phoenix. I'm sorry, I'm at the wrong week. We had the Spurs versus the Jazz, and then the Spurs took a trip over to Milwaukee. And, of course, both games were just huge blowouts.
Mm-hmm.
So, buddy, what are you seeing right now with the Spurs?
I'm seeing total domination, my friend. I mean, these games were just absolute trouncings. Now, I'm going to give...
That's actually very, very funny because, like, the text you were giving me...
No.
Early in the game, it's like every time the Spurs are, like, behind in the first quarter or by the first team, it's like everybody's just jumping off ship and stuff instead of understanding that this is the game that they're playing and maybe that we have to accept it. But go on.
You're overreacting a little bit. You have to understand. I'm not trying. What I say that is because I have to look at it through non-rose colored glasses. Because if I look through it, it's like, oh, you know what? It's okay that that they start out like 1 for 15 for the game. As long as they dominate at the end, hey, it's okay. And yes, maybe that is true. Yes, but understand that, like I said, you're always working to get better, and this is what we do.
If that's the case, though, if that's the case, then let's go ahead and start on the basics right now, like the fact that they do give up a lot of 3-point attempts, and what is the contributing factor of that? Again, I'm not a coach here, but the thing is just like it's just kind of what the NBA is everything is getting spread out and being shot, beyond the arc pretty much.
I don't think it has anything to do with defense, though. I think a lot of it has to do with the offense. The offense comes out sputtering at the beginnings of games. You'll start off and you're seeing like Green taking a couple shots and he's real cold at the beginning, living up to his name of icy hot at the beginning. You know what I mean? He's very icy at the beginning of games, and then you're just sort of like having to depend on maybe Leonard making a couple shots in there here to try to spark them, or you're hoping that like maybe Aldridge puts a tip in. Like Aldridge tends to do this too. He tends to start off the games really, really slow. It seems like he never really is really super duper engaged in the first 5 minutes of the games, or the first shift of the game. Like you'll see Mills and Ginobili come in within the 7-minute mark of the first quarter, and all of a sudden you got like a 6-0, 7-0, 8-0 run all of a sudden, like in a matter of a minute, and then the whole tide turns, and then just turns into a landslide for the other team. I mean, and I'm happy with that. That's fine. As long as they're winning the games, that's fine. But you have to understand that they have to improve their beginnings of the games. That's the biggest criticism right now, that me and Ray have been pretty consistent about this, where they have to get better at the beginnings of the games, because if not, we can't play the better teams and start badly, because we won't be able to do that same thing. The second squads sometimes aren't good enough to be able to always beat those other teams.
Right. And what Buddy and I keep talking about is the poor starts and the problem of they're always waiting for the second team to come in to give another boost of energy to change the game. So you can totally see the big difference between our 5 starters and when Manu, Boris, and Patty come in. And I would even say now when they bring in Jonathan Simmons, they're bringing 2 energetic players off the bench to jumpstart the offense. And that's what really what you've seen recently is the change in the game, is when those players come out on the floor. And, we have an amazing starting lineup, but as an amazing starting lineup, we can't be opening a game going 0 for 9. Because if we do that when we start playing these stronger teams like the Cavs, like the Thunder, like the Warriors, we're going to be in trouble. We basically put ourselves in a hole, and then we're playing the rest of the game trying to dig out of that hole.
And that's the point. Ray hits it right on the point. That's the thing that we have to improve on. If you're just starting at least in the 40% range, hey, I'm happy. But you're starting the games 1 for 10 or 2 for 9 or something like that. You just can't win games like that all the time. You're just going to eventually lose out. The odds are going to be against you eventually when you do that.
Agreed. Sean, what are you seeing with the Spurs?
I mean, I'm seeing the usual stuff every time we watch them. They usually will start off a little slow, like you guys have been saying. Their second team come in and just really kick it up a notch. I don't know if we have this just wait, boom attitude where we just want to stay close. And then whenever they bring their second teams in, even if our second teams aren't out there, say we have, a split half first and second teams, we'll just kick it up into, fifth gear. We'll blow right by them. And by the time they get their first strings back out there, we can just pretty much put whoever we want on the floor and just coast the rest of the way. I think we're just playing with our depth. I mean, I think the way we have been just constructing our depth the last few years is just showing off right now. Like, we don't always have to have our first five be the best part of the game. We can wait on our laurels and put our second team in and have them kick it up a notch, what they have been doing. I understand where all the apprehensive is when we're talking about why isn't our first team being any better. I mean, I get that. But, I mean, I think that's the way the Spurs are built now. We'll just play, B+, 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 B+. Oh, hey, look, they don't have the best players out. A+, A+, A+. Okay, now we can just see it the rest of the way and just coast it through. And I think that's what you're seeing right now with all these 20-point-plus wins. I mean, we're just staying close enough to where when we see when we start seeing the blood in the water, we just go straight after it, and then we can just slowly swim away.
Clay, what are you saying, buddy?
I mean, overall, like I said, I agree with Sean. I think our depth is what's really carrying us at this point. I mean, I'm really, really happy overall with our depth. You have to see, and from the top down, and we're talking about, I don't care about the starting five. We know the starting five can and will be solid, right? But when you start seeing Mills, or you start seeing Ginobili coming in, or even better now, you're starting to see Simmons, the people who we haven't seen typically. We're seeing Simmons, we're seeing Marjanovic, we're seeing, West coming off the bench and bringing that, that fire, that thing that brings us back into a constant, passing the ball, moving the ball, moving defensively, all of those things. I mean, our depth is, I think it's leaps and bounds better than a lot of years that we had been existing. I think, and it's so funny, a lot of the analysts are saying that, well, no, the Spurs depth isn't that as good this year as in the past. And I'm like, really? I was like, I don't see how you figure that. Even in the year that we annihilated the Heat in the finals, I think that the bench is better this year than it was there. We really only had Mills and maybe Ginobili, and Diaw. That was the three that came off the bench that was really good for us at that time. But now you pretty much have 5 or 6 players that could come off the bench and basically be another starting five. I haven't seen us be that good for a long time.
I agree at all. Clay, what are you seeing?
What I'll just say is this last game against Utah, we had no Aldridge, we had no Parker, and we blew the lid off the place. I mean, I think a lot of teams in the NBA right now are trying to rely on their stars, their LeBrons, their Steph Currys. The Spurs don't need their star to lead the way. I mean, Ray McCallum, God love him. He had 24 minutes, came in 10 points. Huge spark off the bench. Boris Diaw, he comes on. Huge spark. We are a team. It's a Spurs team, and it's not just a star. And I think that's what I'm seeing the most of. That a lot of other NBA teams I don't think have grasped, even like the Rockets or the Mavericks that have a ton of talent. They haven't just taken a hold that it's a team effort.
Utah's defense, they played I felt bad for Utah yesterday. I mean, I literally, and I try to keep up pretty well with who these players are. I didn't recognize at least maybe 5 of them, and I was like, I don't even know who half these guys are.
But Clay's on to something right here. I mean, the beauty of this team
so you're saying
the fact that they're a team. Is the fact that they're a team. I mean, look at what happened. I mean, again, a whole bunch of nobodies playing on the Jazz for this point. And they've got the injury bug, a lot of players that aren't with them. But I mean, if you look at the Spurs, you had 8 players playing, scoring in 8 double digits, 8 of them. And one of them wasn't Aldridge, the other one wasn't Parker. And I've said this in the past that you could take out 2 of their starters and still be in contention for winning the game. It's not like it's just a total loss. And on top of that, this is where I kind of wonder, like in the future, could you remove all 3 of the big 3? I'm talking about Parker, Ginobili, and Duncan, and you have a team that's still going to make the playoffs. And on top of that, right now we're seeing a transition of that era into the future with Kawhi, Aldridge, and whoever else wants to step up. I want to say Boban.
Oh, I know. I'm just waiting for the big
Patty.
We'll literally have a big 3 who at that point. Yeah, if we had a Boban into that.
Very, very true. All right, guys. So as we said, the Spurs are just playing phenomenal right now. Of course, Buddy and I nitpick at things, but it's just the small little things that we see. But really, as a team, the Spurs are just doing phenomenal. Everyone is starting to say, like, the Spurs are the team to beat. That's actually starting to get out there right now. I think on ESPN's power ranking, they finally put the Spurs at number 1. The nation is starting to be more aware of what the Spurs are doing and how well they're doing right now. So next couple of games coming up, they got the Knicks tomorrow night. Then they're going to go to Brooklyn, then to Detroit, and then Thursday's the big game. Mr. King Cramps comes back to San Antonio. That game's going to be on TNT at 7 o'clock. We should probably try to get together and watch that game if we can. Just because I think that's going to be really interesting. If not, we'll do what we normally do, and it's just completely message each other nonstop about what we're seeing in the game.
Yeah, I will be watching that one carefully.
We should Periscope that. We should Periscope that game of us all watching it live.
Screaming at the screen and throwing our phones at the screen.
Yeah, that'd be it. Hey guys, it's Clay with the Go Spurs Go memes. I'm your correspondent in the streets, and this is Spurs in the City. Listen, last week, legendary NBA referee Joey Crawford announced at the end of the 2016 season, he's retiring. Now, for a lot of people, I don't care. It's an NBA referee. I don't have his jersey hanging in my closet, but for Spurs fans, this is huge. Joey Crawford has always seemed like a nemesis for the Spurs. When the Spurs are playing a different team and Crawford's a referee, to me it always feels like a triple threat match between the Spurs, the opposing team, and Joey Crawford. He's even been known to give Tim Duncan a technical foul for just smiling on the bench. Folks, what I've done is I want to know what Joey Crawford himself thinks of the Spurs and thinks of his retirement. So I've gone through the white pages and I've looked up every Joey Crawford I can find. Let's call these numbers and see if I get the real Joey Crawford and see what Joey Crawford thinks about his own retirement.
Hello?
Hi, yes, I'm looking for Joey Crawford.
Who's this?
This is I'm Clay with the Go Spurs Go Memes podcast. I was looking for Joey Crawford. Is this his home number?
No, but this is his daughter.
Oh, great. How do you feel about your dad retiring?
He's retiring?
Yeah, your dad announced that he's retiring. It's been all over the news. You know, Joey Crawford isn't your dad your dad's Joey Crawford, right? The NBA referee?
This is a joke. My dad's Joey Crawford, but he's not a referee. My dad's a plumber.
Well, hey, we'll go fix a leak. Hello, I'm looking for Joey Crawford. Jose Crawford, though, is that your name?
Sí.
I didn't think he was going to sound like this. Jose, how do you feel, Mr. Joey, Mr. Crawford, how do you feel about your retirement that's coming up? Isn't that huge?
¿Qué?
I mean, do you... No. Aren't you retiring from the NBA? I feel like I just got so much trouble. Mr. Crawford, why do you hate the Spurs so much? Oh my God, Mr. Crawford, I didn't think you were Spanish. Oh God.
The Crawfords are not available to the phone right now.
No, the Crawfords aren't there.
But you know what to do if you would like us to call
I guess this isn't the Crawfords I'm looking for.
Hello?
Hi, I'm looking for Joey Crawford.
Speaking.
Hi, I'm with the Go Spurs Go Memes podcast, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on your retirement from the NBA at the end of this season.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you got the wrong Joey Crawford.
Joey Crawford, legendary NBA referee. He's retiring. Hates the Spurs.
Yeah, that's a different guy.
That's not you?
That's not me.
Well, how do you feel about the Spurs then?
Yeah, I really don't care about the Spurs. I live in St. Louis.
Oh. Well, hey, thanks for answering. And you got a famous referee holding your name.
Yes, I do.
Well, hey, have a good night. And can you just say "Go Spurs, go" for me, even though you're in St. Louis?
Yeah, sure. Go Spurs, go!
All right, all the way from the gateway to the west. Thanks, buddy.
Hello?
Hey, I'm looking for Joey Crawford.
Joey who?
Joey Crawford. I'm looking for Joey Crawford. Is this Joey Crawford?
No, I think you got the wrong number, bud.
I mean, are you sure? Because you're listed on the white pages as Joey Crawford. Are you sure you're not hiding out because you're an NBA referee who doesn't want to be found by the public?
An NBA referee? No. Definitely not me. Sorry about that.
Well, do you like the Spurs at all?
Sure. I watch a game every now and then.
Yeah. Can you give me a good old-fashioned "Go Spurs, go" since you're holding the number of the Spurs' arch nemesis? Well, at least someone named Joey Crawford.
The arch nemesis. I mean, I'm kind of eating right now, but.
Well, put your fork down, sir, and say "Go Spurs, go." Huh? How about that?
Okay. Go Spurs, go.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Hello.
I'm looking for Joey Crawford.
Uh-huh.
Hi, are you Joey Crawford?
Yeah.
Oh, good. I wanted to get your thoughts on your retirement.
Who is this?
Well, my name's Clay. I'm with the Go Spurs Go memes, one of the most popular segments, Spurs in the City. And Mr. Crawford, you have been an NBA referee for many, many years. Is that correct?
Whoa, wait a minute, son.
Huh? Sir?
First of all, I've been retired for about 12 years now.
Oh, but
the only thing I know about the NBA is that I watch it sometimes when it comes on the TV.
So you are not Joey Crawford, the famed NBA referee?
Well, I don't know about referee, but I am famed in other ways.
Well, sir, I don't even want to get into that. Are you a Spurs fan at all, Mr. Crawford?
Let me tell you, I got into it real good back in, you know what I'm saying? Back in the day.
Sir, I do not know what you're saying. Anyway, hey, are you a Spurs fan, Mr. Crawford?
Who are you talking to, man? Of course I'm a Spurs fan.
Yeah, are you a big? Well, who's your favorite Spur?
Well, I'd love to chit chat with you right now, but I'm eating dinner. You know, I got some white and some greens.
Oh.
Well,
hey, you know what?
Some pop.
Why don't you get back to dinner? Before you go to dinner, can you just give me a good old-fashioned "Go Spurs, go"?
Am I going to get paid for this?
You might. I don't know. Maybe it'll start raining silver and black at your home.
All right. Well, go Spurs, go. I don't know who the hell you are, but hey.
Hey, look us up on iTunes, SoundCloud. Look us up, the Go Spurs Go Memes podcast. You know what a podcast is? SoundCloud. There's a cloud and it's full of sound.
Oh, I don't know. I don't have one of those things.
Oh, well.
I just got the phone.
Well, good night, Mr. Crawford. Good night, Mr. Crawford. It's been a pleasure talking with you. Get back to your dinner. No, that guy was not Joey Crawford, NBA referee. As you can see, Spurs fans, a lot of Joey Crawfords in the world. I just couldn't find the real one. Hey, go Spurs, go. Until next week, I'll see you later. Happy retirement, Mr. Crawford. Now stay out of our way. We got an NBA championship to win. For the Go Spurs, go memes, correspondent on the street, my name is Clay. This is Spurs in the City. I'm now sending it back to the guys in studio. But first, go Spurs, go!
Hey everyone, this is Jorge Alvarez, in-arena host for SSNE, the Stars and the Spurs, and you're listening to Go Spurs, Go Memes.
You guys want to do on the fly real quick?
Yeah. Sure. I'm cool with that. What do you want to talk about?
I don't know. What do you guys feel like talking about? I'll let you guys pick. I'm usually the one to pick. So.
Oh, this sounds like we're all trying to decide where to eat.
Oh, that's a good topic.
What would you like to take? Oh, favorite places in that we like to eat locally?
Yeah, I think so.
That's a good one. Okay, well, why don't we go there?
So, great idea, Frank.
Okay, I'll start off first because usually what we do, since we all kind of know each other except for Clay. One of the things that we love to do is that we'll go out and to eat. We all work different jobs and everything, and the cool thing is that we'll give each other a call and say, hey. But one of the places that Buddy and I love to eat, and I can't figure out why this place is so cheap, but it's how do you pronounce it, Buddy?
Sapporo.
Sapporo, and it's a nice little Japanese type of restaurant. It's over there off of Hausman by UTSA. We've eaten there for not $10, excuse me, for about $6. You can get 10 pieces of sushi, and it's delicious.
Yep, yeah, and Frank stole that one from me. I actually was going to say that one. I would say a close second for me on favorite places to eat would probably be Mellow Mushroom. It's a pizza place. Oh, I love that place.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love their calzones there.
Oh, man, their pizza, they have this thing called the Mighty Meated Pizza, where basically it has every kind of meat that you can ever think of in the world, even probably emu. And it's amazing. Oh, it gives me a stomachache just thinking about it.
Clay, pick a restaurant.
For one, I'm surprised with Frank's answer. I was for sure he was going to say Ding Hao. I really thought that was
not even close, Clay.
I swear, Frank, I thought Ding Hao was coming out of your mouth.
Yeah, this is why we don't get along. So you and I
why.
You should stop talking right there. Actually, go ahead. Yeah, say what you have to say.
Well, you know what? If I'm gonna,
so important.
If I'm gonna pick a place to eat, I'm going for the heart attack. I'm going to Chris Madrid's. I'm getting a cheddar cheesy. I'm sitting in the back at one of those wooden tables and just letting the cheese roll down into my gut.
That's a very.
Oh, that's a great place, Sean.
I actually have two places. They're on opposite ends of the spectrum, but I don't mind sharing. My first place, whenever I am downtown, I always try to go to Piedras Negras downtown. Absolutely phenomenal. If you haven't been, make a point to go. It really is great Mexican food.
I grew up on that food.
It's so good.
Yeah, love it.
Everything you can order is just tastes so good. And in fact, I think we had Frank's birthday there one year.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Sorry, Clay. You weren't invited. My apologies.
I never am. Did you get the flaming cheese for your birthday at Piedras?
You know what? I'm sorry. I can't eat cheese, and that's very offensive to me. So please stop talking.
Sorry. Yeah, you're cheese intolerant.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, back to me. And my other place I recommend is it's actually a vegan restaurant called Green. It is for somebody who grew up eating just meat. I went on there on a whim. I find it absolutely delicious, and I recommend anybody who always give it a whirl. It really surprised me how delicious it was.
Very nice. So
and
I'm going to do my pick.
Oh, it's Ray's turn.
Yeah, so my pick, I'm going to pick two places. I'm going to say Ding Hao because it's the place.
Because bless your soul.
Yeah, I absolutely love Ding Hao. It was a big thing for me when I was in college. And, of course, Sean, Frank, and I go there all the time. That's the place that we go to. Love Ding Hao. It's not the best, even though Ding Hao means the best. It's not the best Chinese food, but we absolutely love it. It's cheap, and it's so fast. The main rule with Ding Hao is you don't change anything on the menu, which Frank is famous for because they bring you an iced tea when you sit down, and Frank likes water. And I remember one time that we went and Frank asked for water and they yelled at him and said, "We have no water. We use water to make tea." And, all of us just died laughing at Frank. And then, of course, the guy did bring Frank his water. But Ding Hao's one for me. My other favorite place to go eat is on the west side of San Antonio. It's Acadiana Cafe. It's a Cajun place.
Oh, nice.
I love that place. Once again, it's just a place that I've gone to for years. It kind of reminds me of a Cajun Po Folks. If you guys remember when Po Folks was around.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So like that country cooking, but the spices and the good Cajun stuff is there at Acadiana. So I love that place. So those are my two picks.
Yeah, everything's fried there too. I can't think of anything. Like if you're a vegetarian or you just wants to eat like kelp or something, don't go there. I mean, everything is breaded, deep fried, delicious.
You want your gator deep fried, boy? You want your gator deep fried?
Indeed. I'd like to add one here because I can't go through this podcast without mentioning it. But a lot of us tend to love Asian food for some reason. But favorite of all time is not Ding House. Sorry,
I knew it.
Golden Walk.
Golden Walk is one.
Golden Walk's great.
Man, I have been eating there for over I won't say how long, but since I was a kid, and I've taken my child out there. She's going to grow up with this food. Best dim sum in the city, probably the only dim sum in the city.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that's the only one.
That isn't shut down by the city.
Yeah, I know, right? I forgot about this. It was this place off of Evers. I think it was called Chef Shan's Tea House or something like that. Yeah, they shut that place down, unfortunately.
No, they opened it again.
Oh my God!
My boss took me there one time, and he's like, "Man, it's the best place. It's a really, really good place, and it's really cheap." We ate there, and I swear, I don't know what I was eating, but I stopped. I mean, because there's some textures in your mouth that you just don't want to have.
Like the Thai food that one time, Frank.
It's like noodles shouldn't be like crunchy, like you're eating string or something like that. It just doesn't make sense.
Hey, what's that Asian restaurant next to Pico de Gallo near UTSA? Anyone know what that is?
Oh,
China Star.
Golden Star.
Golden Star. Yeah.
You can get lemon chicken and a crackhead right next to you.
Yes, you can. Yeah, it's a BOGO.
I want to say it's Mexican and Chinese food, so you can get like enchiladas and
No.
That was the old Maverick Cafe.
No, the old restaurant, the Guacamole. Y'all go to Guacamole?
I remember Guacamole.
Oh, that's fantastic. It was a Chinese and Mexican buffet. I swear, it was like cheese enchiladas, egg roll, right next to each other.
That's just gross. Oh,
They had fantastic. One on Nacogdoches a long time ago.
Oh no.
Guacamole.
All right, guys. Well, I think that brings us to the end of our first Skype podcast. Hopefully, very, very soon, we will get back into the studio to do a normal podcast, one where Frank does not have access to his banjo. Other than that, I'd like to thank the cast for hanging out with me this evening. Sean, Buddy, Frank, and Clay. Clay, so glad to finally have you on with us. We hope to have you on with us more.
There he goes.
Hey, Banjo this time.
Thanks for having me. I hope to be around a lot more in the near future.
Fantastic. I also want to do a big Go Spurs Go Memes welcome to correspondent Kyle, who will be following and keeping us up to date on all the information with the Spurs new soccer team.
Fantastic, Kyle.
Yeah, he actually already did an article for us that's up on our blog spot, on our blogger spot, I should say. And, of course, I'll link all his articles up there on the Facebook page for everyone to see. As always, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Listen to this podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe. And as always, go Spurs, go.
Jeez.